Well, gold has been in the headlines for the past few months, hitting record high after record high last fall. Now, prices have been on the move again, and that's great news for people who buy gold to protect their retirement accounts. Now, Daniel Boston, founder of Preserve Gold, joins me in explaining the value of gold in today's economy. Now, first off, Daniel, I want to thank you. Not only do I purchase my precious metals from Preserve Gold, but you provide such a service educating people about investing in gold, because most people really are kind of new at this, kind of novice at it. What is your outlook for physical gold and silver?
We're extremely optimistic. I mean, if you just look at what central banks are doing right now, I think it's a very telling sign in terms of where we think prices are going. If you go back to the 1980s, when we had the last bout of inflation, central banks were buying gold at record levels, and we saw the price of gold go up 5 times from the time they started buying. Today, it's not just the US central bank that's buying gold, it's central banks around the world. And so with the way that we've seen the value of the dollar decline since 2020, the dollar's down 25%, and gold's gone up 60% over that period. We've done nothing since that point except amass record amounts of debt. So I think gold prices are poised to shine through 2025 and beyond.
All right, so the dollar's down 25%, gold's up 60%. That's an 85% gap.
It is.
That's a good place to be if you're buying gold.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah, so now that Trump is in the White House, how does that impact gold, if at all?
I think he's got a really great head on his shoulders with some really intelligent solutions in mind. But these solutions are going to probably cause some pretty short-term pain. When I look at this situation, I think about it when you're running a business. He wants to reduce the federal budget by $2 trillion. That's the goal that they've stated. And if you think about that, when you're a functioning business, your overall budget's $6 trillion. Basically, they're talking about reducing their budget by 33%. That's painful. They're talking about reducing taxes as well. So you're reducing the amount of money that you're bringing in, but you're also reducing the amount of money that's going out. So that's going to trickle down. I think, everyday Americans are going to feel that.
Tariffs, inflation, fear of recession. How do you make sense of all this economic uncertainty? To start, every one of you needs this free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. This isn't some generic sales pamphlet. It's a clear, easy-to-read roadmap that explains exactly how to protect your savings with gold and other time-tested metals. Now, I'm not saying you need to buy gold. Gold isn't for everyone. But you do need to educate yourself so you can make the best decision for you and your family. You won't find this guide in stores. It's not online, and it's only available by calling right now. Call 844-407-6375 or text PHIL to 50505 to get your free, no-obligation guide from Preserve Gold. Call now. You'll be glad you did. We're not going to just tell stories. We're going to go inside the minds of these killers.
He told me his name was Ted and he was a law student.
Let's break this down for a minute. This was a man who'd make the devil blush with his sins. I want you to walk in the shoes of both perpetrator and prey.
Mystery and Murder. Subscribe on your favorite podcast service.
Hey guys, I'm Hannah Davis with your Money on Merit Gold Edition. According to the World Gold Council, 212,582 tons of gold have been mined throughout history. And since gold lasts forever, most of it is still around. Some is jewelry, some is coin, some is gold bars, and some is gold teeth. But you won't be flashing a 24-karat smile. Gold teeth are not pure gold. And that's your Money on Merit.
Excited to be joined again by Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. There is so much talk about gold today, especially regarding retirement accounts. And What could this mean for Americans, especially those that are preparing for retirement? If that dollar is shrinking, they've had this money in retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, or whatever. They've had those dollars in there, and if those dollars are now shrinking, and when I say shrinkage, their buying power with that money that they've saved all this time is going down, down, down. If they put it into gold, then that can reverse that trend and it can go up. It seems to me like that could be a pretty good safeguard for people.
That's absolutely right. Gold is simply a direct measure of strength or weakness against the US dollar. So unlike dollars, gold cannot be printed. You can't produce it out of thin air. It's been used as a currency hedge for thousands of years. So if you just look at how far the dollar has declined, since the inception of the Federal Reserve in 1913, we took our national debt from 1913 to 2008, we took it to $8 trillion. And just in the last 17 years since 2008, we've quadrupled our national debt to over $36 trillion. So if I had two options, I had a suitcase with $100,000 in it or a suitcase with $100,000 of gold, I'm gonna take the gold because I can't tell you what central banks, the Federal Reserve, other countries around the world are gonna do to the dollars that I'm holding. They can print more money, put it into circulation, and devalue my dollars along the way. But by owning gold, you create a source of stability for yourself, where I know that as the value of the dollar goes down, the gold that I hold in my hand will go up. That's just been the way that it's worked for thousands of years.
Okay, so every time they go further into debt and they decide, well, okay, we'll just fire up the printing press and just print more money, that makes the dollars that people hold worth less. If you've got $1,000 out of $1 million and they just go print $1 million more, you've now got $1,000 out of $2 million. So yours become worth less money or less buying power than they did when it was just part of $1 million.
Correct.
So how does gold go up when that goes down? Like you said, you can't print more gold. So that doesn't get diluted the way the dollar does when they print more. Is that the point?
That's absolutely correct. So when you think about this, the price of gold in the 1980s was around $250. Now it's almost $2,800. The value of the dollar has declined by at least 80% since the 1980s. So the only thing that gives a dollar any real value is the faith that the public puts into it. We were on the gold standard in the 70s, we were pulled off the gold standard, we went to the petrodollar, and now the only thing that backs the dollar is faith. So as we go through time, gold prices have continued to rise as central banks have put dollars into circulation. The definition of inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. So as we continue to print money, and we have been on this path of trying to solve debt problems by creating more debt, that's going to cause gold prices to go up even higher than they are right now.
The more you know about money, the less you'll worry. I'm Dr. Phil with a Mental Health Moment, brought to you by Preserve Gold. The NFL just held its draft where 257 athletes became instantly rich. The minimum starting salary for the NFL rookies in the 2025 season is $840,000. That doesn't include endorsements, but many are handed that money without the financial literacy tools needed to manage it. According to the American Bankruptcy Institute, nearly 80% of former NFL players experience financial hardship or file for bankruptcy within a few years of retirement. The lesson? You can't control everything, but knowledge is power. Educate yourself and you'll sleep better at night. And that's your Mental Health Moment, brought to you by Preserve Gold. Hey, it's Dr. Phil, and I'm coming to you with the real story. I'm not just reporting the news here, I'm sharing my interpretation of it. I want to talk to you about why Doge matters. We are in an educational crisis. It is time for action. They need to be held to a standard. Are they doing their job? Who is not against fraud, waste, and abuse? That's the real story.
Check out Dr. Phil's The Real Story on the news on Merit TV and subscribe on your favorite podcast service.
I'm Hannah Davis with your Money on Merit Gold Edition. Grab your gold pan and a shovel because there is still plenty of gold left to mine, and you need to head west. Most gold in the U.S. comes from Nevada, and we're not talking about the Vegas Strip. If you head into the Nevada desert, you can find gold in abandoned mines and natural streams, and around 54,000 tons of gold are waiting to be mined, so you need to get cracking. That's your Money on Merit.
Hey, Dr. Phil here, continuing my conversation with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. Now, Daniel, anyone who watches Merit TV has seen me talk about Preserve Gold and why it's the only precious metal firm I recommend. But let's dive deeper. How is this playing out? What is the sentiment in clients and those interested in precious metals that you and the team at Preserve Gold are seeing? You talk to your people, you talk to your clients. What are you hearing from them?
People are optimistic, but they're also nervous at the same time. You know, what I always tell people is you cannot buy fire insurance on the house after the house is already on fire. That's really relevant for me, especially being in Los Angeles. I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. If the stock markets were to crash, if I'm sitting in a portfolio full of stocks and bonds, I'm going to be at the mercy of that. If I'm sitting in cash and the value of the dollar declines, then I'm at the mercy of that. So if I want to retake control of my wealth, I need to hold something tangible.
Since I've started talking about Preserve Gold a lot, and I've been talking about it a lot because I've been so impressed, not only with what I've learned about the importance of gold, but with the organization itself. It's interesting, the questions I'm getting tell me that they're getting ready to do this because they're asking fundamental questions like, okay, I put this money into gold and I want to take a trip next year. I can't take gold to the airport and put gold coins up on the counter to buy a ticket. So once I own the gold, how do I spend that wealth? How do I convert that back into a currency that I can use in the world? How do I go to the store? How do I buy a car? How do I take a trip? What's the answer to that question?
Yeah, you know, one of the main reasons why our clients love working with us is because of our buyback policy. Whatever you buy from Preserve Gold, when it comes time for you to sell, we charge 0 fees. We do not participate in our clients' profits whatsoever. So if you know you're going to be taking a trip, you need some cash to do that, you just give us a call. You need $30,000 to go to Bora Bora, whatever it is. We will liquidate those metals for you at the current market value without fees.
Well, I'm so glad to have that answer because I really get asked that question a lot. And you don't need to be going to Bora Bora for 30 grand, I can tell you that. So if that's what you're thinking, don't be doing that. But why is gold so stable and such a good investment for many people? Why that? Why is that the way to go?
When money rotates out of stocks and bonds during a market crash, when it rotates out of cash during periods of inflation, it just needs a place to go. It tends to gravitate towards gold and silver first because they are the classic safe haven investments, and that's what causes prices to go higher. So when you have central banks that are amassing gold at record levels, JP Morgan Chase has amassed the largest stockpile in silver in US history. That tells us that these institutions, let's take the central bank, for example, the Federal Reserve, they print money out of thin air, and then they take that printed money to go buy hard assets like gold to protect themselves against the very risks that they're creating. So I always tell people, don't do what the big players are telling you to do. Do what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, watch what they're doing.
That's correct.
Tariffs, inflation, fear of recession. How do you make sense of all this economic uncertainty? To start, every one of you needs this free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. This isn't some generic sales pamphlet. It's a clear, easy-to-read roadmap that explains exactly how to protect your savings with gold and other time-tested metals. Now, I'm not saying you need to buy gold. Gold isn't for everyone. But you do need to educate yourself so you can make the best decision for you and your family. You won't find this guide in stores. It's not online, and it's only available by calling right now. Call 844-407-6375 or text PHIL to 50505 to get your free, no-obligation guide from Preserve Gold. Call now. You'll be glad you did.
You think you know Dr. Phil? Think again.
We need to strive for equal opportunity.
He's not just a host. He's where the news happens.
It's okay to disagree. That's what makes this country great.
From the big moments to the stories shaping our world,
How does this affect everyday people in America?
Dr. Phil delivers the news that matters for people who care. Dr. Phil's Merit TV. More than you expect. Exactly what you need.
Hey everyone, I'm Hannah Davis with your Money on Merit Gold Edition. 24 karat, it has such a nice ring to it, but it's more than just a Bruno Mars song. 24 karat means 100% pure gold, nothing added. Gold less than 100% means fewer carats. But here's the thing. 24 karat gold is seldom used for jewelry. Who knew? The color of 24 karat gold is bright yellow and it actually bends really easily. That's your Money on Merit.
If you've been watching gold prices in the past year, you know there have been a lot of people turning to gold to diversify their portfolios. So let me bring back Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. What drives gold prices up and what drives them down? Because it's way more stable than most of the things that I see, but it does go up, it drifts down a little bit. The highs seem to be getting higher and the lows seem to be getting higher. So the trend seems to be up, but what makes it go up or down?
Yeah, we know we're in a healthy market because we're getting higher highs and higher lows, just like you said. Overall sentiment drives the gold market. When you have nervousness, when people are just uncertain about the economy, and I think that's really where we are right now, that's why we've seen gold prices move up so dramatically since 2020, since the pandemic. When you have a 2008 financial crisis and then a recovery that comes after that, that's going to cause gold and silver prices to pull back. So I always tell people this whole thing is going to really need to boil down to your personal convictions and beliefs about what you think is going on right now. Because if you believe, for example, that the stock market's going to go from where it is right now to 80,000, if you believe the dollar's becoming stronger over time and not weaker, I'm going to be the first person to tell you that this is just not going to be the right investment for you. But if you believe what I believe, and I think the market is literally teeter-tottering on the verge of disaster right now at the top, I think the dollar's in serious trouble going forward. If you believe those things, then it makes the move into metals very easy because they're simply designed to preserve your wealth.
Yeah, so people have to make up their own mind about, look, I think the dollar's going to get stronger. What do I think oil prices are going to do? What do I think this? What do I think that? They got to make up their own mind. But whatever they think, who am I to advise an individual about what they could do? I certainly can't do that. But gold seems to be less volatile than a lot of other currencies. It can change, but it doesn't seem to roller coaster the way a lot of other commodities or currencies do.
Absolutely. I mean, gold and silver have been used as money for thousands of years. They've always had value. They always will have value. Paper currencies, for example, like the dollar, have been around for the last 300 years. Nobody knows that experiment's going down, including myself, but my guess is not very well. So when we look at fiat currencies throughout time, you can look at the Italian lira, the Venezuelan bolivar, the German Deutschmark. All these currencies have one thing in common. They're now worthless.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, for thousands of years, like I said, gold has been used as currency and in modern times as a currency hedge.
Should we be looking at silver and other precious metals besides gold?
Absolutely. You know, this is going to sound a little strange coming from someone who sells gold, but I always tell people right now, if I were you, I wouldn't really be buying gold right now. Or if you are, I would diversify more heavily towards silver, and I'll tell you why. In 2008, during the financial crisis, gold prices reached all-time highs at that point at almost $2,000 an ounce. Silver prices did the same thing, around $50. Right now, we have gold prices sitting at $2,800. So gold's pretty much trading at the absolute top of the market. For me personally, buying anything at the top never sits right with me. But I will say this. When gold prices reached all-time highs in 2011, silver prices, like I said, reached all-time highs at the same time, just shy of $50 an ounce. Right now, silver's trading around $30. For silver to go back to those previous highs, for the simple fact that gold's already there now, and they do track each other, you're just about doubling your investment dollar from current levels. Gold and silver really do the same thing. They're both going to hedge inflation. They're going to hedge against stock market or bond market volatility. But in terms of upside, I think you have a lot more upside right now in silver with a lot less downside risk. Now, that's not to say don't buy gold. I think we can easily see gold prices trading between $3,500 and $4,500 an ounce by the end of the year for a number of reasons. But percentage-wise, I do think silver is going to be the better performer.
You know, if you're stressed, you could be blessed, especially regarding money. I'm Dr. Phil with the Mental Health Moment, Personal Finance Edition, brought to you by Preserve Gold, the only precious metal company I trust and recommend. Face financial uncertainty by shifting your mindset and change stressing into a blessing. If you're stressed about supporting your family, take a minute and think about how blessed you are to have children to support. In the U.S., about 9% of men and 11% of women have experienced fertility problems. They would pay any price to have children. If watching the stock market keeps you up, count the blessings that you have money to invest. Nearly half of Americans do not have any investment assets at all. No matter the stress, you can always find a blessing in disguise. And that's your mental health moment, brought to you by Preserve Gold.
Dr. Phil's Merit TV
A town hall like only Dr. Phil can do it.
isn't here to divide.
We're here not to take sides, but to have an honest conversation.
Rather than highlighting our differences,
Sometimes we argue, but we always finish up being friends.
we focus on what unites us,
Honest dialogue is how we bring our nation together.
finding common ground
Just that irrationality we need to hear more of.
is what we stand
You
on.
don't have to love everything about somebody else to love them.
Dr. Phil's Merit TV, bringing us together.
What's gold is new again, pardon the pun. But considering gold has been used as currency since around 550 BCE, it has been on fire the past year. I'm here again with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. When is the best time to make a gold investment?
Well, the best time to buy gold was probably 50 years ago. The second best time to buy gold is today, right? If your sentiment, like I said, is if you believe that as we go through this next period where Trump is going to have to make some real hard decisions to get us back on track, right? What I compare this environment to is we've been on this sugar rush of money printing and spending, and now we got to pull back. So it's kind of like the alcoholic who needs to detox alcohol. We're going to feel that throughout the economy. I mean, cutting $2 trillion, if they do that, just the interest on our debt just recently reached $1 trillion. That's a bigger expense than Social Security, Medicare. So if you're of the belief that the way that we've been going is not sustainable and we have a tall mountain to climb to get back on track, there's going to be some real short-term pain. And the best way you can go about navigating that, instead of throwing caution to the wind and just being at the mercy of whatever happens, you can take proactive steps now to put securities in place for your financial portfolio.
If people are interested investing with Preserve Gold, how do they get started? So you got somebody over here, they've got money in a retirement account, they've got money in a savings account, they got money in their mattress, whatever, and they want to start investing with Preserve Gold. And how do they get started?
Yeah, we work with people from all ranges, whether you've been doing this for a long time or this is your first time. We do a lot of hand-holding. We take pride in not allowing our investors to come into the precious metals market with their eyes closed. You can give us a call at our toll-free number, 844-407-6375. One of our precious metals experts will really take the time with you to really ascertain and understand what are your goals, both short-term, long-term. And then based on that, we can provide some recommendations. If you have money that's in an IRA or 401k, we can help you with what's called a retirement account rollover, where you can transfer funds from your IRA, your retirement account, into a precious metal self-directed IRA without paying taxes or penalties. Some people have cash in the bank. They are concerned with the dollar, like myself, and they don't want to hold that cash in the bank. So we can simply help people convert from their paper money into hard physical currency, and they can take delivery of those metals directly to their home.
For those of you at home, I'm trying to ask the questions that I think you would ask if you had the opportunity to sit here. I'm sure I'm not asking all the questions you want to ask, but you can ask your questions. And what you need to do is to sit down and contact one of the professionals at Preserve Gold. And I've had the benefit of being able to sit here and talk with Daniel and ask these questions, but you can do the same thing. You can sit down and get on the phone and contact someone at Preserve Gold and ask the questions that I didn't ask for you. I tried to ask all the ones that you wanted to ask, but here's exactly how to do that. And all you have to do is call 844-407-6375, or you can text Phil, P-H-I-L, you can text Phil to 50505, or you can go to preservegold.com. All of those will get you to somebody that can answer the questions you want answered. And that'll get them the info they need, right?
That will give them the info they need. Just give us a call. We'll be happy to help out. Like I said, whether you're doing this for the first time or you're experienced, we'll meet you where you are. We're not going to let you come to the market with your eyes closed. So we embrace and appreciate any questions people can ask us. Look, at the end of the day, this may not be the right investment for you, or it may be the right choice for you, but we're here to provide the information so you can land in a place where you can make the most informed decision for yourself.
Tell them the number one more time.
844-407-6375. You can text Phil to 50505, or you can check out our website, www.preservegold.com.
All right. No way you can miss it. Daniel, thank you so much.
Thanks, Phil.
Tariffs, inflation, fear of recession. How do you make sense of all this economic uncertainty? To start, every one of you needs this free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. This isn't some generic sales pamphlet. It's a clear, easy-to-read roadmap that explains exactly how to protect your savings with gold and other time-tested metals. Now, I'm not saying you need to buy gold. Gold isn't for everyone. But you do need to educate yourself so you can make the best decision for you and your family. You won't find this guide in stores. It's not online, and it's only available by calling right now. Call 844-407-6375 or text Phil to 50505 to get your free, no-obligation guide from Preserve Gold. Call now. You'll be glad you did.
Hey guys, I'm Hannah Davis with your Money on Merit Gold Edition. Watching your 401k or IRAs go up and down like a roller coaster, it's nerve-wracking. That is one reason many are turning to gold.
They are looking at places they can store wealth that holds tangible value. Gold and silver is simply a hard asset. It's real money. It's been used as money for 5,000 years. This whole thing needs to boil down to your personal convictions and beliefs. If you believe, for example, the stock market's going to go from where it is right now, 45,000 and change, to 90,000, if you believe the dollar's becoming stronger over time and not weaker, this is probably not the right investment for you. And someone who believes that might put 1% of their portfolio into gold. But if you're like me and you believe that the market could potentially be teeter-tottering on the verge of disaster now at the top, if you think the dollar's in serious trouble going forward, then you might be the type of person that's going to expose yourself to a higher percentage in gold within your portfolio.
And that's your Money on Merit.
When you face your financial fears, you can handle anything. I'm Dr. Phil with the Mental Health Moment, brought to you by Preserve Gold. Your reaction to life isn't about what happens, it's about what you expect to happen and the story you'll tell yourself when it does. When the economy goes sideways, don't say something is seriously wrong and hit the panic button. Face it head on. Effective therapies help you tell a better story to yourself and gain power by desensitizing yourself. It will always help you understand and accept reality and find a solution. You can't do that by sheltering and shielding yourself from reality. Deal with the truth. Every champion does. And that's your Mental Health Moment, brought to you by Preserve Gold.